Well, my friends, this was a hard one, but I made it. I made it because I knew that you would want to see the finished sweater. Now, I'm not able to wear it tonight. I'm just too tired. But I hope that you didn't get too discouraged and that you are still excited, and thank you for waiting. But here we go. This is the beautiful little sweater. We're going to call it vest. It's the little swatch pocket. There's the swatch pocket right there that started the whole thing. When I saw that nice swatch, I thought, well, why should I waste it? I'll just make it a pocket. And as you can see, I put it on and I walk you step by step. Now let me see, can I can't really pull this back, so maybe I'll just stand here and just talk. So as you can see, it has a really pretty collar. I take you each step, and so that it really looks nice. It has my lace coming down one side. You could have done both, but I just took the shorter scenic route so I could get through. And now I hadn't decided if I'm going to put any kind of decorative buttons or something like that. It doesn't have buttonholes because I'm not one for buttonholes, but I have something else. I'm thinking how to put pretty buttons with a little chain. So let me kind of work on that, and then maybe when I do wear it or whatever, I'll show you what I came up with. So all is not lost if you're a button lover. Like I said, I got tons of buttons. But I just wanted to come on real quick, bring you part 3. Sorry for the wait, but you know what? Whew, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. Look, I figured that out real quick. So, but there's your sweater. Jay's Knit. It's a swatch pocket, kind of a Lands' End vest with beautiful, beautiful simple sleeves, something that I think it will help to have something simple. Big, beautiful, just beautiful collar that lays great, and then the lace down the side. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wish you happy knitting. Take your time, like I say, and because this project really, it's pretty, it fits me well, and I went over in the last part of the video, the tutorial, I went over how to critique and some things that you could do if you needed any changes, because I'd like to make this one again, because even though this is a nice medium weight yarn, it could be made in a lighter weight yarn for the summer, for the spring or the late summer. It would really be pretty. So with that being said, like I say, happy knitting, and I will see you shortly with another, I hope, something that you will like. Take care. Bye-bye. My friends, I am back, and I hope that you were able to get most of the knitting done. When I left, the whole thing was to get you to go ahead and get all 3 pieces knitted up to a certain point. I was going for the top of my cleavage. It was about 16 inches, maybe not right, you know, but close to it or whatever. And I shared with you, it's a lot easier if you would go ahead and do that, so you don't have to go back and start ribbing on the next piece. And then you go knit up, and then you go back and have to rib on the back. Just get all that done and slowly just work up. Work the chart, work this. If you want chart over here, that's fine. It was up to you and your back. Now, all 3 pieces are kind of in the same place or close to it, that you don't have to come to the bottom again. Now, the next thing we need to do after that, you know, I share with you how to do the easy count. When I'm working on something, if I can count it out, because sometimes my measuring is not always right. But I can line up these ridges and I can count. And the last time, when where I stopped was 44 ridges. So that means when I was working on, as I was working on this side, I aimed for the same number of ridges, 44. On the back, you know, there's a little edge on each side. You could count that and aim for 44 there. That way you always have the work close, to the same length. Now, the next step is we're going to get ready to do our decreasing. And I'm going to give you a simple decrease that will work on just any kind of open up the front sweater. It's my favorite and it's easy to work. The first thing right off the bat you might notice, especially if you have lace on both sides, this is what I would do. If you're going to lay your sweater out like I'm laying it, just lay the back aside for right now. We're going to work on the two front edges, two front panels. This one right here, I'm going to mark with masking tape. That is your friend. We're going to be using it, not duct tape, but masking tape. It is, I'm telling you, if you're not using this in your knitting, you're going to save yourself a lot of time and tears and whatnot. I went ahead and marked this one for me, A. And I marked this one B. Now, if you had two with lace, sometimes you can get like, oh, God, I forgot where I am. That's definitely why you need to mark an A side and a B side. Now, when we flip and flop and turn, you're not confused at all. You know exactly where everything goes. The next thing I want to tell you, on this lace side, okay, we stop the pattern, and I've looked at all kind of upscale, patterns and sweaters, and they just stop them too. Sometimes they end them off real nice or decrease, or they just stop them. So I just stopped my little lace wherever I needed to reach what I was trying to do. Now I want to go ahead and close those stitches off. I don't want yarn overs and other stitches. I want to make it nice and smooth. So I simply watch. I just knit across, purl back, knit across again, and stop. So whatever length you have to stop this lace and kind of smooth it out, do that. No matter what size, every size. Okay? Then of course you have to do this side. Go ahead and do it so you won't forget. Knit across, purl back, knit across, and when you purl back, you stop. Let's see, wait a minute, let's see. Knit across, purl back. Oh, and then stop. This side, okay, the reason I said that because this side we have to bind off on the wrong side of the work. That's just the nature of having a front, two fronts of a sweater, a left and a right. So I'm going to have to bind off. On this side, I'm going to knit, purl back, and then I am going to bind off on knit, the front of the sweater. And that's another way, especially if you have lace. And you're like, uh-oh, Jay, I got confused. Now I got two lace panels here. So A and B will keep you straight. So I've already done that. On my sample, I've already did the extra knit back and everything. So now all I have to do is get ready to turn on the wrong side, and we're going to bind off and then just purl back across. But let me share with you my decrease. Jay's Easy Decrease. I use this all the time. Anytime I have a sweater where there's a front, where there's open front, this works always for me. All my sweaters, you can pretty much go back and find stuff. And it's real easy. The first thing I do when I'm ready to bind off on a front edge of an open down the front sweater, I bind off 12 stitches. That was my magic number. It always works, so I just keep using it. It's not broke, so I'm going to use it. So 12 stitches. So on this one, this first one, on A, I already have 7 stitches, everywhere, every size. I gave you 7 free stitches to kind of help with those of us that had stuff in the front. And you didn't want a big gap. You want to bring it in a little bit, okay? These 7 stitches, I bind those off. So to make it 12, all I have to do is bind off 5 more here. So 7, and then 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that is 12 stitches altogether. 7 and 5. I'll bind off my 12 stitches. Then I start the upward movement of decreasing, and I'm going to decrease on every right side row. I'm going to make a decrease until I have at least 8. And we're going to do that in real time on this one, or at least I'll get you started. Then I'll show it to you on this one. All right, so, but for right now, let me share with you So, oh, just make sure you see that, and just, I wouldn't put it to memory. I'd write it on something in your little journal, your knitting journal or something. Jay's Easy Decrease Front Edge Sweaters. Bind off 12, and then you'll add 8 more decreases as we go up. Alright? I would go ahead and show you this side, but I don't want to move everything. So let's go ahead and flip. I'm going to flip this over because I'm ready to go. Now I may have to see where my camera is. Let me check all of that first. Okay, let me move it and then I may come closer. Be right back. Alright, so I've turned A over because we have to bind off on the wrong side for this side of the front of the sweater. And I've already, I'll just leave that up here. Bert can kind of hold on to that for me. I'll just lay it right there. Maybe you can see it and maybe not. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and bind off the first 7 stitches. So it doesn't say which stitches, it just says 12. And I'm so used to binding off even on the wrong side in the knit stitch, but you can bind off in the purl stitch. But I'm just going to knit 2 stitches as you know how to start the bind off. Reach back and just bind that stitch off. Now I've already, oh, let me tell you another good little thing. This is just a quick help to make sure that you don't. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to go ahead and mark where the 5th stitch is over here. Because you know when in the binding off process you have to borrow a stitch for the last. So I have 7, and then I'm going to bind off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 extra ones to make it 12. So now I don't have to stop and like, oh, you know, what stitch am I on? Just bind off, go to the marker. You knit another stitch, reach back and bind off. Take your time, keep it loose, just like we always try to. We bind off, just like this. I'm binding off in the knit stitch because that's my natural way that I do it, but you can purl. Okay, now reach, knit the next stitch, reach back and bind off. Now stop. See, sometimes you can't remember how many you did, but I've got to the marker, so I know I have 7, but this is the 7th stitch. So I'm going to drop this marker, and I'm going to borrow. I'm going to go ahead and use that stitch. I'm going to knit, reach back, and bind off. Keep going till I come to the marker, so I don't have to sit and try to count, or keep going. Just keep binding off. Just have to try to remember to keep it loose. Don't pull it, you know. The only time I stop and pull is to kind of open it, you know, pull it like that. Don't worry about the edge. We're going to take care of all that. So I still have to get to the marker. I'm just binding off the 5 extra to make 12. Now I get here to the marker. But you know I still have this 1 stitch left to bind off right there. So I go ahead and borrow the next stitch. Now I have completed binding off 12 stitches. Stop binding off. Now I am on the wrong side of this A front, so I am going to put my yarn in front now and just continue across the row, and I'm going to purl. Okay, so make sure you don't knit across. You have to purl across because we're on the wrong side. So I'm going to do that, and I'm not going to waste battery because I really want to we got to move tonight. So I purl all the way across, turn the work, and knit back to where I did the bind off. So let me do this real quick and I'll be right back. Oh, you'll use this a lot in a lot of your sweaters once you get the hang of it. Just real easy and easy to remember. Back in just a moment. Alright, so I am knitting on the right side now. I'm on A, and I'm just knitting back up to where I did the bind off. First of all, you can see the nice little bind off I did, even though it was on the wrong side. Now, we start the decrease. You're going to knit up to 3 stitches before the bind off. So I just knit up. You'll stop at 3 stitches. One, let's see. One more. Okay, 1, 1, 2, 3. And on this side, I need a decrease leaning to my right. So the simplest one to do is just simply knit 2 stitches together, and then I'm going to knit the last stitch and make it an edge stitch. So I'll knit it on every row. So here are my 3 stitches. Now I'm going to just knit these 2 together for this side A. Knit together. And just to make a nice clean edge going as we go up the shoulder, I'm going to just knit this last stitch. It is now an edge stitch. Can you see that? So bind off. You see how clean it looks. And now I've started my, well, I'm going to have to do 8. It says right here, 8 decreases. And I'll just use that to mark. Just so that I won't forget. I'll just mark it right here. All I need is 8. Put a little mark there. You can click it or whatever. Okay, so once I do that, guess what? I turn the work. I just turn this front, and I'm going to keep doing this until I've taken off 8 more stitches. It comes to a total of 20 decreases. It works well every time, at least for the sweaters that I make that are open. So now right here, this first stitch, remember now it's an edge stitch, so I'm going to knit it on every row. That's going to help me when I get ready to sew or, put on the collar. Then I bring the yarn in front. Now I just go back to regular, like you would do. Knit on the front and purl on the back. I'm on the back, so I'm going to purl across. Alright? Just like this. Now I'm going to go ahead and do this, and then I'll knit back up just one more time, just to make sure, and then we'll talk further. But on the back side, you can see the bind off. And now I've started the decrease. All decreases I try to do, at least when I'm knitting, on the front side. That way I can count them and I can see them better. Alright, let me purl across and then knit back up. I'll be right back. Alright, we are doing our decreases on side A of the sweater. And now I'm on the right side here, so I'm going to knit up again towards the bind off edge. And I'm going all the way up until I have up to 3 stitches left. Right there. 1, 2, 3, and there's my bind off edge. On A, we need to lean to the right, so again, every time I'm going to knit 2 stitches together. Let me see, can I get in there without splitting the yarn? Let me go back in there. Knit 2 stitches together. Now stop and just knit this last stitch to make it an edge stitch. Now you can see it starts to kind of slope up, and we'll stop. When I turn the work, of course, I'll knit the first stitch and purl back, and I'll keep going until I can, on every right side row, make a decrease that leans to the right. Knit 2 stitches together. If you happen to leave your work, remember I said masking tape is your friend? This is just FYI. Think of this stuff as I'm doing it. That way it means something. If I just tell you stuff, it doesn't mean anything. So it just okay, just in case you get, because on the other side we're going to do a left leaning. But for those that are still new, you got to figure out, okay, I'm here, I'm there. Okay, take a piece of some masking tape. This is the right, leans to the right, so I knit 2 together. So I'm going to just take this and just stick it on the wrong side, just like that. Just a little piece of masking tape. Knit 2 together. So now I've had to put it up. Maybe you still work and you had to wait a couple of days and you got, oh, I want to go ahead and decrease. Now, wait a minute. Now, okay, what was I supposed to do? Oh, I knit up for 3, then knit 2 stitches together. And then knit the last stitch. So you don't have to figure out lean to the right or to the left. Just knit 2 stitches together on this side. Alright, now let me switch. Let's see if I can do it. But I haven't changed the camera again. Alright, this was A. You're going to continue up until you have 8. And then stop and wait for me there. But I'm going to show you what to do on this side with B. You can see it. I think you'll be able to see it really good here because it doesn't have the lace in it and it's just plain knitting. And then let me check my camera. Make sure I am in, back it back a little bit so you can see the whole shebang. How about there? That's lined up real even, and I didn't have to switch it off. Alright, so right here, let's just talk a little bit. You can see the bind off edge nice and clear because I'm on this light background. You can see. Let's go over it again. It's 12 stitches. So in this case I already had a border of 7, so that's bound off. Then I bound off 5 more to make it 12. When I bound off, we do it on the right side for B. That's just the nature of having a left front and a right front. So once I bound off the stitches, I knit across. Then I purl back. Now I'm ready to do the first decrease. Now the decrease for this one, you're going to knit 1 stitch. That'll be that little first stitch. You knit 1 stitch and then you're just going to do a slip slip knit. So you're just going to do, let me just go ahead and mark it. Just to help the new and get you in the habit. So you go, okay, now wait a minute. Now on this side she said for the, okay, I'm going to do a slip slip knit. You slip 2 stitches, take the needle back, knit the 2 stitches. We've done it before. It's not something that you hadn't done, so we're not covering all that. So you do slips, you knit the first stitch, slip slip knit, and then knit all the way across, purl back. We're back at the front again. Knit 1 stitch, slip slip knit, knit across, purl back. 1, knit 1, slip slip knit, knit across, purl back. Now I don't know if you can see it on here how well I can get the camera. But if you really look, that knit 1 will produce a little bump, just like we had the little ridges. Okay, and you can, if you walk away or go away or come back. Oh, and I forgot to mark how many. All right, just look at the bumps. 1. You can feel them with your hands too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you've got 8 decreases from this bind off edge going in a nice slant up. Not straight up, but it just kind of slants real pretty. So when we pick up stitches for our collar or our neckband, it's going to look real pretty. Now the next thing for sides A and B, depending on how tall you are, not so much the size now, it's just how tall you are. If you are, say, 5'3" and under, or short like me, 5'2", 5'1", on down, whatever, you're going to do an extra, I would knit an extra, I'd count until I had 4 bumps. So what I would do, once I finished the decrease, I'd knit across, purl back, knit again. When you knit across, purl back. Now let's count. 1, purl back. 2, purl back. 3, purl back. 4, purl back. When you purl back, I may have counted that wrong, but when you purl back, this is where you want your working yarn to be and the needle to be pointing. It's a, it's a circular needle, so you don't have that problem like I used to have with straight needles, to make sure that that needle was pointing in this direction at the arm space section, not at the neck. But you would do that. If you are a little taller, 5'3" or 5'4", 5, a little taller, then you may have to go up in increments of 2. So instead of 4 right side rows knitting, you do 6. And if you are real tall, if you're taller and you're going to just simply take this to the mirror and hold it up to your shoulder. That's the easiest way to do it. You take this, you go stand in front of the mirror, have on a nice bra, good bra, and you see that, okay, it doesn't quite come to the top of my shoulder. It's I'm a little short, it's a little gap there. It's not at the top of the shoulder. You don't have to go over the shoulder, just come to the top, close enough. So then you go in, like I say, in rows of 2. So this person, say, would go up not only 4, 5, purl back, 6, well, purl back, 6, 5, 6, and then you purl back. It'll work out. It works. I may not be saying it right. But, and then it will close in that little gap. And if a little taller, you go 2 more. So 4, 6, and 8. Seems to work really well to get up to the shoulders, depending on not your size, but how tall you are. All right, I want to come right back. I'm trying to move this right along, and I want to show you real quick, again, now that we have our both necklines. I got the other one, you know, I was working on it off camera, so now I have both necklines. Nice and pretty. I think it will be flattering, and it's not too large and not too small. We did the exact same thing on each side. I gave you the little formula. You bind off 12, then you decrease 8, and then at the end, in order to get up to the top of your shoulders, because there's going to be some space between where we stop the decrease of 8 stitches, there's going to be a gap here to get up to your shoulders. So all you have to do now is to continue to knit back and forth until you have either, count your little ridge bumps, even though they're right here on the edge. I only needed 4 to get up. Like I said, I went to the mirror and held this up to my body, and I settled on 4. That's usually where I am anyway. Normally, I'm very short. But you may need, so I went ahead and marked where the 8th bump where I was decreasing, put a mark there. Now, I kept knitting back and forth. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 bumps, and my yarn, my working yarn and needle are pointed or over on the arm space side of, or the side of the sweater here, and not the neckline. That's the most important thing, is to try to do that. So here, once I finished this side, I made sure that the opposite side had either 4, or if you're taller, which most of you will be, you may have to have 6 little bumps here above where you stop the decrease. That'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or you may have to do 8 if you're taller. But that's something you just go to the mirror and just kind of figure it out. Just kind of hold it up. You don't have to go over the shoulders like that. Just go up to the top of the shoulder, because we're going to add some, the same thing. We'll make sure that the back is going to meet the shoulder at the top. And I think it will be just fine. The next important thing is to stop. Once you've done that, you've completed the pretty neckline. Now go ahead and count every stitch across. How many stitches you have across. I have a 3-stitch border, and then I have 32 stitches. It is whatever it is. All of this tells the top to come out to be what it should be. I've tried to work from a formula, but something just came to me and says, well, whatever this is, as long as the 2 fronts match, it's fine. So over here, I sat down and I counted. I had my 3-stitch border, and then all the stitches in here came to 32, a total of 35 altogether. So my 2 fronts match. That's the most important thing. Get the 2 fronts to match. The back is just the back. It's like background singers, They're not the star of the show. It's the 2 front pieces. We will make the back match whatever's on the front. So therefore, I didn't need a formula or try to do any math to tell you, what these numbers should be. They just come out to what they're supposed to be after we do our decreasing and everything. So now the next thing to do is to prepare the back. Remember, the back is just there. It's the 2 fronts that are the stars. So the first thing I need to do is to check the side. If we have ridges, I use this as a counting, way to count and try to make sure I get the right length. But I would simply count my garter ridge stitches, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, all the way up to the top, to see how close I am to matching the front. For me, I'm short, but mine came to 50. All right, so once I started checking that and checking my back, I got up to 48. I got up 46, 48, and then I did 50 to match, so that this back section will be the same or as close to the same length as the front. Then, as I was knitting across, then I purl back. Now I'm on the right side again. This is where I want to bind off the neck stitches. First thing we have to do, we have to count these stitches and get a marker so that it will match the front section of the sweater. For me, of course, I had the 3 edge stitches and then 32 stitches in here, which gave me a total of 35 stitches. So I just started knitting across. After I had reached my correct number here, I just started knitting across. I have a place, I had marked it. Alright, then I slide the marker. I knit 2 stitches in the neck, what's going to be the neck. I knit 2 stitches, take 1, reach back and bind off. Knit the next stitch, reach back and bind off. All the way across till you get here, and you do the same thing. Don't forget that last stitch. I have to reach over here and borrow 1, knit that stitch, reach back and bind off, and continue to knit across. And of course, you would have checked, you would have started on this side and counted and make sure all the stitches were correct, that you hadn't picked up one or dropped one. So yes, you count in from this edge and then always go to the other edge and count in. Then you start across, just like I just shared with you, to bind off the neck section. And you see it's on my circular needle, so it's still there. I don't have to worry about transferring any stitches. Okay? And it's going to be a lot easier to just do the bind off with them on this long needle. Now, I can't think of anything else. Alright, we check. Alright, let's match the fronts up to the back and we'll get started. Alright, if you're new to doing this 3 needle bind off, it's not hard. To me, this is what I was introduced to first, I think, and then I was introduced to the mattress stitch. This always worked for me. It was always simple and easy. I never got confused, so I just, hey, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Alright, the first thing that everything else is checked out, now we want to take one front and the right side of the fabric faces the right side. Right to right. See that? You can tell this is the wrong side. So I take the 2 right sides and bring them together. Alright, now I have the front piece is still on the circular needle that I was working it. The back piece is still on its circular needle. Years ago I used to use straight needles and then I'd transfer and I'd do a lot of stuff when I first started. You can see on my old videos. And then one day it just hit me. You're just working yourself. You're just taking the long way around, Jay. Go through. Just go through. So now I'm ready. We need 1 extra stitch. It's a 3 needle bind off. I always use a short little double pointed needle, but you know, if you're a seasoned knitter, you use whatever you use. Alright, now the first thing I need to do, it doesn't matter which way a working yarn. So see, there's some working yarn here, but maybe not on the back. Well, we're going to use this one. It all works the same. We'll just use this one. It's already connected. So I only need 1 connection on one of the needles. I'm going to push all the stitches. Let's see, can I pull this back? Let me pull back a little bit and push my stitches up. I could have dropped those markers. I don't know why I didn't. I was just, trying so hard to get this out to you. Alright, so let's make sure that I am over, that you can see me. Let me check the frame one more time. I think I can just come around like that. Alright, just real easy. Let's see, should I come in and make it a little more? Alright, perfect. Just for people that are new or think they're going to get confused, or Jay, I might go, no, you're not going to get confused. As long as you know that there are the same number of stitches on this front needle and on the back needle, and you have the 2 front right sides facing. That's all it is to it. Alright, you put the 2 needles together, and we're just going to knit. That's why I always felt it real easy and comfortable to do it and to remember how to do it. I stick my 3rd needle, this is the 3rd needle, I stick it in the under the loop on the 1st needle, under the loop on the 2nd needle, or the back needle. So now I have 2 loops on this hook, on this needle. Am I thinking of crochet? Then just bring it through. Now you can bring it through one at a time if that's how you can, get started. Then you will take that those two off. Okay? But we need 2 stitches to get started, so I do it again. I go under the next loop, and then the next one here. I take, now you can just bring it through both loops at one time. Take those 2 off. Now stop. This is when sometimes I get in a hurry and I just start knitting across. Now you stop, then you take one of the needles and just reach back and lift that first stitch over and off that stitch. You've bound off 1 stitch. We got to keep going. In, knit, under both, take them off, stop, or don't keep knitting. I'm going to go ahead and remove those markers there. They were getting in my way. Now you take 1 point, go and bind off. Okay, Jay, okay, all right, let's see. Keep them pushed up towards the tip. That's about the hardest thing. Okay, under 1, under the second, reach back, bring that loop through, now reach back and bind off. After a while you'll get a little rhythm, but don't get too fast, because you don't want to make a mistake on this. It's such a pain to have to go back and fix something. Just take your time. You'll get there. And just keep them pushed up. Here we go again. 1, 2. Knit. Take them off. Reach back. And bind off. Just kind of give a little, sometimes I stop and give it just a little pull, just to keep that bind off loose. You know, that's the thing in binding off. Hold on. Alright, so I'm going to make sure I had yarn in. So now I go right to the next one. You just don't want to drop anything, because you won't come out. There you go. Pull it up and off. Stop, reach back and bind off. Again. Just hold it, just keep it real loose. It's nice and loose. Don't tug on the yarn. Make sure I have extra yarn. Stop and give it a little pull. The seam. I'm going to do enough so I can show you the seam. Like I say, because most of the people watch me, you've done this, but just in case somebody wanted a close-up again. Now reach back and bind off. In, 2, knit the stitch, bring it through both, under both loops, reach back and bind off. So it's so easy with this little short needle. I'm not having to deal with something really. If you don't have one, there's other, double points you can use. When I have needles to break or the cord comes loose, I always save the needle part or the point part just to use for things like this. I see a plastic one over there that I saved. Some kind of way it broke, so I thought, oh, that'd be a great bind off. That'd be a great number 3 bind off needle. And don't necessarily have to be the same size you're using. I usually try to get one a little larger just to keep it loose. Oops, look, I was talking. Look, see, I started to knit. So I slide that back on. So, well, that's good. Now I can show you if you make a mistake. So I see both loops right there. That's what you don't want to do. I was talking. So what I'm going to do is show you how to get it back on. Just find there's the one that goes on the back. Here's the one that goes on the front, because you can see it's in the front. So let me just go ahead and put it back on. That's what happens when you start talking. But this is a good thing. You can see like, oh, Jay, I dropped one. Put it back on the needle. Lord, I can't even see it. Where's my glasses? I can never find my glasses when I need them. Okay, now, before I start talking anymore, let me reach back. See, I can tell because you're supposed to have 2 stitches. So I reach back and I bind off. So now I'm back on track. And you go back under, knit, reach back and bind off. Okay, now I'm just going to pull up the loop just a little bit to show you what the seam looks like. What you call the magic. Make sure those needles are pulled up. And there is my pretty 3-needle bind off seam. That's all you have to do. So what you want to do, I'm going to stop talking because you see enough now. Make sure if you stop that you pull those needles up and that you pull that loop up for any reason. Say if you had to go take some out the oven, you pull those needles up so you don't lose a stitch and pull the loop up, what you're using to bind off. When you come back, you just pull it back a little bit, stick the needle back in, and you're ready to continue. Just have to think a little. Like this. I find I'm always excited when I do this part because I just think it's pretty. Just like I guess the sock knitters or people that use a mattress stitch, they just love it. You always hear when they get through, they be so excited. So see, now I can just keep going. Take it off, stop. Don't start knitting. Reach back and bind off. Alright, so let me just show you this. Let me pull this up again so then I can show you real quick. Pull that up. Now, once you do this side, of course, then, let me pull this over. The opposite side, you're going to do the exact same thing. Just put this on here right quick. You're going to put the right sides facing, right sides of the fabric. Let's see if I'm on. A little bit. Zoom back out. So you do this. Now since I am right-handed, once I do this, I have 2 working yarns. I can work with either one. I would just take the one that I had enough, say on this needle, and then I'd go ahead and cut this one. Just leave a nice long tail. Just cut the one that you're not going to use so you don't get all messed up. As long as you have one with just enough yarn, you know there's yarn there. But since I'm right-handed, I'm going to have to flip this whole thing over this direction. It's the same thing, but now I can work. You going to see what I'm saying? Because like I say, I'm right-handed, so I need it on this side. So you just flip this over. But right sides are facing right sides. There's no other way to put it because you got to have the front. So you can't get confused, people. I hear what you're thinking. I'm like, okay, there's no way to get confused. So do one side at a time. Alright, now that's the 3-needle bind off. Relax. Take your time. Haste makes waste. Rushing trying to get through something, you'll always have a mistake when you get to the end. I tell you, I can't tell you how many times I've done it. So just slow down, get it done, be done, and I will meet you back. So we can go ahead and maybe start, I think we'll start on, do one cuff. Do one cuff, show you how I'm going to do that, and we'll go from there. Alright, happy bind off. Alright, so now, like I said, I think the easiest thing to do once we did our 3-needle bind off is go ahead and work on each arm space and get the markers in it and pick up our stitches. It's just that easy because we're not going in the round, we're going to work flat. Alright, so here is some numbers that I think will help you. It's J's Easy Flat Cuff. It's just a simple cuff without a lot of math or anything, just these simple numbers. Alright, now we're looking at, here is the shoulder where we did the 3-needle bind off. What we need now is to pick up the same number of stitches on this side and on this side to simply make our cuff. So if you're medium to large, the total number, 56 stitches, okay? And we're going to pick up, that's, if you divide it by 2, it's 28 on one side, 28 and 28. And I'm the 1x to 2x the total number is 60 across, so 30 and 30. Then 2x or 3x, 64 equals 32, 32, and this person or the next person up could go 68. And you just keep going up, just divide it by 2 so that you could have the same number of stitches. We pick up on this side of the shoulder seam. Here's a shoulder seam there, and we're going to pick up this number. And let me show you how easy it is, because this, I wanted to keep it simple and keep it moving. I'm going to sit that there. I have an extra needle. I'm just going to get you started. First of all, let me show you how to count to get it equal. All right, everyone, everywhere, every size. Let's see if I'm in the light. I can pull in this, and then I'll pull back. Okay, so here is, you go to the shoulder seam. Right there. Now, right at the shoulder seam on this side, I want you to put your needle in or either count. This is where you have to start counting, not right. Sometimes we use right, you can use the bumps, but this time we're going to be using the space between the bumps. So, but there's a little space right there, right at the seam on this side of the seam. So that's going to be 1. Can you see it? Then I go to the space in between the 2 bumps. 1, 2, see the bumps? That's 2. This is how we're just counting now. Then you go to the next space, 3, in that little gap, 4. So when you start counting, you'll start here as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Pull it apart. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, okay, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, I hope I didn't lose my place, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. Right there in the gap between these 2 little bumps, I put my marker. And then it's always good to count back up. Make sure that you have 30 with this stitch right here next to the seam. See the seam right there? And you can get it's not really a stitch, but you have to make one there. You need to make one right there. Now to count the other side, you simply cross the seam right here. See? Now you go to the very first little space. It's not really a gap, it's not really like a stitch, but you're going to make it one. So that counts as 1. Then you start between the bumps. 2, 3, 4, and all the way down until you have the same number of stitches. Now we're going to just simply pick up. We put our mark. Now let me see if I've done all this moving and see if I'm still on camera. I hope I'm on camera. And I hope you could see what I was doing. It's just very simple. This is not anything really fantastic or new. But I just thought to save you any kind of problems in counting. Alright, so I go right to where my little marker is. I find that little tiny gap between those 2 bumps. Okay. Now I take my yarn and I loop it over my needle. Hold it, and I pull that loop through. Then I go to the next, hold it, and you need to just pull them open between the bumps. There's the bumps, I'm in between. I go in. Now I've got the tail and the working yarn, so when I come through this time, I have 2 strands on my hook, but on my needle, but that's only 1 stitch. So don't get confused and count that as 2. Or you're going to like, oh, something's wrong with my counting. Alright, so now I can let the tail go and just start picking up stitches, going up, going in each little gap between those bumps. Right there under 2 strands. Just this quick, all the way up. Just like that. And because the little gap is so, I mean, you can just see it. It's easy to take your needle. You're not having to force anything. So it just goes right in that little gap under 2 strands, and you just keep going right on up and go under, pulling a loop through. Yarn around the needle, pull the loop through. Yarn around the needle, pull it through. See, now there is. Let me keep going. I want to get up there to the seam just to remind you. Oh, that's a good southern turn. Did you hear my southern come out? Just to remind you. Just to remind you. Oh my gosh. For a few years I lived in a northern state, and I had to try to do all I could to drop my southern. Because, you know, the kid, you know, back in the day, kids, you know, they make fun of you. And then eventually we came back to the south, and then I had a northern accent. Wait up, you guys. Wait up. Wait up, you guys. So I had to drop the northern accent to get the southern accent back. Oh my gosh. But I never did fall back into you all. I never did. Some things I tried to forget forever. But I do slip every once in a while. You probably hear it more than I do. All right, I'm coming up to that, to our shoulder seams. And I just want my shoulder seam. And I want to make sure that I go all the way up. See, there's a little, it's not really a full stitch, but I'm making one right there on this side of the seam going up under 2 strands. There it is. Now I cross, see? Now I can cross it and go right here to whatever is there. Make a stitch there, then I start the countdown. I go down or going, just picking up, going down the hill. On this side, going in between the bumps, that little, pull it open so you can see it, that little gap. Okay, so now when I open it up, there's no big gap right there at the center, and look how nice and smooth. Go all the way to the end, and I'll just show you, I can walk you through the rest of it. Alright, back in just a moment. Easy peasy. Alright, now I'm just checking in to share with you what you should have. After you pick all the stitches up, you see that I have connected by picking up stitches. Now we're just going to knit every row. Knit on the front, knit on the back, knit on the front. And you remember I had 7, everyone got 7 garter ridge stitches when we started right here on the front edge. There's 7 stitches. Well, I thought, well, let's just keep that in mind. It's easy to remember. Let's knit this little cuff 7 ridges. So 1, 2, keep knitting, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 ridges, and then when you turn for the 8th ridge, you should be on the wrong side of the fabric. You should be over on this side. And then all we have to do, let's see if I can flip it real quick without messing up the camera. So now I'm on this side after I finish my 7 ridges, not, you know, so that it's easy to remember. Then I'm going to bind off on row 8 right across the top in the knit stitch. I simply, you know, knit 2, reach back and bind off. Knit another one, reach back and bind off. Bind off all the way across this little flat cuff. And it's just simple garter stitch. And so much easier, you know, to work than having to flip and go round and round for this particular. So when I turn it back like it should be, let's see, can I put it back? That's my needles hitting the camera stand. Okay, just real quick, here it is again. So now all you have to do is work both, see if I'm on. Work both cuffs. Then we're going to go ahead and, let's see, I think we ought to seam. We can seam the cuff. Yeah, we can go ahead and sew the cuff, and then we can do the collar last. How about that? So I'll get both of my arm spaces, my little cuffs done. We'll come back and sew, and then we can pick up stitches for your collar. And I'm going to show you, try to make it easy also. Okay, Don't you think that looks nice and clean and neat? I think so. All right, back in just a minute. All right, so off camera, I have finished both cuffs. I've got them both knit. And now we're going to get ready. I even finished the seam on this side so that you could see it. And I'm going to show you on the other side exactly how I got the seam, the cuff, just real easy. And if you look on the little, at our ribboning at the bottom, there's a natural little split that you'll see that will work just great. It's a natural split, so I started a little above it, and I'll show you that. And then I just worked my way all the way up to the garter stitch flat cuff for this particular sweater. So now let me just move over and let's get started and show you how I got this all sewed up. How nice it turned out. It was just one long seam. I didn't have to stop and start or do any of that. So what you're going to need, because once we get this done, guess what? There's only the neck, the neckline. I'm going to do a collar and our pocket. You remember our pocket? The little swatch that I hate to watch. Oh, and I can't wait. That little swatch gave me another idea, so I'm already thinking of something else that I can do. Now there's that. I want to make sure that let me see where my hands are. So can I come in a little closer? Because I want you to get this. And I don't have to do all of it. It's just real simple sewing, but I want to get you started. Remind you again how easy this is. Now, I have my yarn needle already here with my yarn in my yarn needle and a nice long piece of yarn so that I don't make a mistake and stop and have to thread. That you don't want to do that. First thing I want to do is look down here at the bottom where the two bottom ribs, and you can see it doesn't kind of close, it kind of has a little gap. Well, I thought, well, what a great, that'll be great just to leave that open so that a natural little split right there. See, it's all finished on the edge. I don't have to do anything. So the first thing I need to do, of course, is look for the first ridge. Okay, it's the first ridge, and I'm going to come from underneath. I come from under because I want to leave a tail. Let me see. Now you'll notice so there we go, right there, see? Now I'm just going to bring my yarn up and I'm going to start the zigzag. Going back and forth. I leave a nice tail. Can you see that? Now when I take it over, I'm going to look for the first ridge right here on this side, and I'm going to put my needle in, but I'm always going to point back to the direction I want to go back to. So once I come here, I got to come here, then there, then there. So I always have my needle. I'm going to pull it there, check it. Now when we come back or finish, we'll take this little tail and we're going to, you know, really put sew that up well so it won't do anything, won't come loose or have any kind of problem. But right now we're going to just leave it hanging. Now I'm going to take my yarn needle and go in the next. We're just going into the little bumps. Just stick right in. You don't have to try to get right on the edge. Just stick it into a bump, heading back in the direction that I want to go. So when I finish this, I have to go to the other side. So I go that direction. Then I come here. And I go into the next bump. And I pull it in the direction that I want to go. Now I'm going to tighten this up just a little bit. Pull that just. Now I come over to the next one. And a lot of times I can see it better, you know, because my sight not like it used to be, even with my glasses. if I kind of hold it up, I can see the little bump, put the needle through. Now, go back on this side, but I need the needle pointing backwards. It's so much harder if you do this and then try to bring it back. So it's best to go in, like in the direction you want to go back to, like that. See it? Because I want to cross back over, go here. After a while, it's just like riding a bicycle. See? And you try your best to get these little ridges. Now, mine are not always perfect, but I don't worry about it, people. I just don't worry about it. Hey, I'm doing good to even see. So you back over that side, you back over this side. Hey, I'm a happy camper. And you see what I'm doing? I'm just crossing back over, but I'm taking my finger or my hand underneath, making sure I can find the next bump, because sometimes, like I say, I don't see as well, even with my glasses on. Where's that bump? Where's the next one? Oh, did I skip one? You don't want to skip any, so if you just kind of hold it up, see where it is next, have the, like I said, the needle needs to be going in the right direction. And where's the next one? Right. Okay, it's got to be right here, because I see that one. That's where the yarn was in that one, so then it has to be this one. See, it looked like I skipped one, but no, the yarn. No, wait a minute, see? I almost skipped a little bump, and then I would have had a little right there. See, they're not that far apart, so it's easy to want to skip one and think you've done it when you have not. So I'm just going to take my time and go up, and I'll just do this for a little bit longer, and then you can, it just takes practice. Don't worry about being perfect, just keep going. Alright, so now you can see that I am going all the way up. There's my little natural pleat. We'll come back and take a couple of stitches on that at the very end. I'll show you that. Well, let me go on up a little bit. And then all you're going to do is just keep going up, up, up. Then when you get here, this is so nice. See, it just comes up and just curves right on up. This, now you have to really make sure that things that you, I'm going to pin that right there so I can have it. You'll have to match up where this bottom stops and then where our little sleeve, and it's the same thing. There's a little bump all the way up because it's the garter stitch, and all the way up, and then you get up here and then you end it and weave in the ends. See, just like that. How neat is that? Nice and clean. Okay, then we get this nice, not pulled in like our normal rib stitch, but nice and flat, and I think it looks, I don't know, less bulky. Looks a little on the nice, smoother side. Alright, so there's that, and like I said, when I come back, if I had my needle, let's see, here's another needle. At the very end, you come back, and I take this little extra tail right here. I'll just go ahead and kind of show you, just so that you don't forget to do that. Because we don't want our split to, our yarn to fray or anything. So then I look right here, and I just turn it over on the wrong side. Right here, this is after I'm completely done at the top, and everything matches up, and I've weaved in my ends and all that. I go down here, and I just match up the two bumps that right there, and I'm just going to take a couple of stitches, like one, you just go back into the same place, two, and then maybe even three, right across, so that that stitch right there in that split won't ever come undone or something happens to it and cause me any problems. with wear and taking, you know, washing or anything. You can do it 3 times and then go back in the 4th time and bury it. Go back in. This is the 4th time, so I'll just bury, go down and bury it and weave it into the seam. See the seam right there? I'll just weave it right on up. No problems here. And then cut my yarn if I feel that I've gone up far enough. I hope all that was on camera. If not, I'm done for. Okay, but there's a pretty natural split. There's my seam I've started. This is, like I said, I went ahead and pinned the top of this sleeve to make it sure it stays in place. And then I'll make sure as I go up where the sleeve starts and everything, I want to make sure that things match up. You may have to pull one side maybe a little bit to get it, but that's okay because we're going to steam everything. All right. Next, whew, we're getting there. Hold on. Hold on, the end is in sight. Now we need to simply go to our neck line. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what I'm going to do then I can work off camera doing it. All right, on our neckline, I have another needle. You see why I have so many needles? Now I'm going to back out a little bit. I'm going to rearrange the camera. Don't worry, I'll get it. Let me just kind of get it here. Let's see, can I rearrange some of this now? All right. A little bit. Get it centered. Pull it down. Get the 2 fronts so that I can share with you exactly. Go ahead and tell you while I have you here. Then I can work real quick off camera. Oh gosh, I hope I didn't show my shoulders. I have on my gown. Oh my gosh, I hope it didn't look down my gown. Well, what else can you work in your gown at night in your own little studio? Isn't it great? Okay, so if I'll watch it. I'll make sure I do. Lean over too far. Okay, so look, what I want to do. Now see, you were so afraid that neckline, like, oh, Jay, this neckline looks so large. You see what happens? Okay, once we start to put on this collar, now I was going to do a regular 1x1 ribbing. But, you know, like I said, we're so tired of so much ribbing. I thought, well, since I've made the little cuff garter stitch, I'm going to make the collar garter stitch. But let me just show you this little secret. Garter stitch is so loose, the stitches, see, they're just loose, that there's nothing to kind of hold the shape. So what I did, I started here on one edge on the right side, and I start picking up stitches. What I wanted to do is pick up, and you kind of know where, you can see where the stitches are. This is, I picked up at least 7 stitches where we had the little border. Then I worked on across the 5 that we added. Then remember we went up 8. So I made sure I took my time. The secret to this is to pick up as many stitches as possible. Don't leave any gaps. It's better to have too many stitches for the neck because we are going to rib on the neck about 2 or 3 rows. That will keep the garter stitches that we're going to make the collar. That will keep the shape of the neck. See how the neck is nicely shaped right there? Well, to me, if I just start right in with the garter, it just gets all lumpy, loppy, I don't know. It just doesn't hold its shape. But by me going ahead, I start out picking up stitches here on the edge, go all the way around, take my time, pick up every stitch I can. Don't skip anything. Just keep picking up, and it'll look kind of big, and you think, oh gosh, just keep going, picking up. Okay, now when I get here on this side, of course, I pick up the edge stitches, 7, same thing now. I'm going to turn the work. Once I turn the work and I'm going back, okay, this is where I want you to knit the 7 stitches again. Don't put them in the ribbing. You're going to knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? Then the first stitch after the 7, since we're on the wrong side, you purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, all the way around, following the purl 1, knit 1, till you get to this edge. As you come up to this edge, count it out. Remember how I shared with you how to count it out. If I'm way back here, I'm going to go purl 1, knit 1. Then I'll stop and go purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl. See if I stop on a purl, because that's where I had to start. But say if I stopped on a knit, then I'd back up and see if I could maybe look and see if I can squeeze in a stitch somewhere, just so that I will come out. That's why the 1 by 1 is so easy. You just back up and grab a stitch or add a stitch, and you're back to purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, knit, purl, knit, purl. I want to end with a purl before these 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to knit those just like I was doing a border on every row. So after the purl 1, I put a marker, then I knit the 7, turn the work. Here we go. We're going to do this for maybe 3 rows. So I knit the 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let me just show you this too, since I don't have to do this right on camera. Since I don't have to actually knit it. Say if you, once you start and it doesn't match up right here, you go, ooh, that looks kind of bad. But I only have 7 stitches. All right, what you can do is reach down with your needle. Just reach down and grab a stitch. See one of these stitches over here on the side? Just grab up a loop from the side, not in the. Just kind of reach down, go down the edge, find one of these loops. See how there's a loop right on the edge? Okay, I grabbed up that loop and I put it on the needle with the stitch where I'm getting ready to kind of level that out, to even it out a little bit. But now I have to, because if I don't, I'm going to have more stitches. I'll have to knit these 2 together. So now I still have 2, 4, 6, 7, and that would have made 8, but I'm going to knit them 2 together. Knit those 2 together. 2, 4, 6, and that'll become 1. Make it 7. But it helps to even out this edge if you have a problem. Does that help? Then you knit on across. You get back to your ribbing. Now we're on the front, so now it's knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, all the way across. And then we get back to this edge. You turn the work, and one more time we will do, you knit the 7 stitches to keep like a border. Slide a marker. Now we're on the wrong side, so now it's purl, knit, purl, knit, all the way back around. Does that make sense? Now, that's the last time. When you get back to the front of the work, now we're back on the front. I know I have this balled up, don't I? Okay, so now you're back to the front of the work. Now we can just simply knit. Just start knitting every row, and we're going to knit a while. So that's why I need a little to go off camera and start knitting mine. So I've got it up to at least 3 of the 1 by 1 rib stitch. I'm keeping this a 7 stitch border. Now I'm just going to knit, 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 and then I'll come back and show you how far I decided to go. Because if we want a really nice collar, you're going to have to really knit a good bit. All right, that's where I am. I'm going to knit, and I will come back and show you what I have. Listen to it again if you need to be reminded of what to do. All right, my friends, I'm back, and look, we have a pretty sweater, a pretty nice vest style sweater. Okay, let me go over real quick the last 2 details so that you can get right to it. Sorry it took so long. I'm telling you, this was a fight to the end, but look, I made it. And I hope you will too. All right, first thing, when I left, we had set up for the collar. I given you everything. You can see that I did the 3 rows of 1x1 ribbon to hold the collar shape around the neck. And then I just simply went into garter stitch. No more ribbing, just straight knit every row, just back and forth, back and forth. Now I suggest, since we did 7 ridges over here on our little cuff, just to make it easy to remember, all right, I suggest you do at least 14 ridges. That's double. Or if you are a seasoned knitter and you want a heftier collar, even bigger, a larger collar, go 3 times 7. So that will be at least 21 or 22, because we have to bind off on one of the rows. But you can decide, okay, I made it to 14, I'm going to stop. Just make sure whether you 14 or close to 20, and 21 has to be your bind off row or ridge. Make sure on this collar, normally we bind off on the wrong side. You can tell that's the wrong side because you can see the inside. This time you have to bind off on the right side of, here's the right side of the collar. You would have to keep working, and then when you get to a right side and you say, okay, I had enough, I'm going to bind off on the right side, just knit 2 stitches, reach back and bind off, knit 1, bind off, all the way around, because the collar, we want that ugly line on this side because the collar rolls down, and those little purl bumps will be on this side. So that's the big difference on a collar. You have to flip. So you bind off on the right side, and then when it's open, that's all you'll see is those nice little bead stitches. Now the next thing, I got to do the pocket, but let me share with you this. This whole project is about finding, your number, and hopefully you picked a size that was good for you or close to you, but just safe. Like for me, I did a little critiquing, and I decided to make a few changes. I don't have to change anything. Just listen to me. My numbers are so compatible. All you have to do is change things around, say by 2. So for instance, this shoulder, I think my shoulder was 32. I think I had 32 stitches on each side, and whatever was left went into the neck. You don't have to worry about it. I think I will take 2 stitches off the shoulder and put it in the neck. 2 stitches off this side, put it in the neck. Doesn't matter about the neck. It will be pulled in. All these stitches, no matter what, it just pulls in. So I'm reducing my shoulders now down to 30. And that will help me. Even just those 2 stitches would help a lot. And then on this side. So now, that's going to help me on my shoulder for the next one, which I will be doing maybe a little later in the summer. I'm going to do another one because I want to show you something else I'm working on. All right, another place you might say, okay, now I gave everyone just by math. I was just trying to come up with some good numbers, and I know a lot of you want to have closure, a little more closure in the front because we have that little excess in the front, some of us. So I gave everyone 7 stitches. Well, maybe 7 stitches was a little too much for you, for your body. You say, Jay, I like it, but I did have a little much in the front. Okay, make a note. From 7, just take 2. So now I'm down to 5 and 5. How easy is that? All the numbers still work. Everything still works. We work everything the same. I just reduced 7 to 5. I reduced my shoulders right here just to help. So they wouldn't hang, they automatically hang over, but I think it's mine, my shoulders are just not that broad. All right? It's same thing with the little cuff. I gave you a little sheet about the cuff, and mine was 30, or, maybe you need to go up a couple more. Just do it by 2. Just remember 2. So on each side, I'd go up 2 stitches. So I'd have, say if this is 30, mine is 30, so my total is 60. So I'd have 32 and 32. I'd just go up right here. Just when I count, just count 2 extra stitches on this side and 2 extra on that side. Everything else is the same. And we haven't messed up the balance of the working formula or anything. All we did was try to make it conform or give us a little more to our fit. Now real quick, let me get up to the pocket. because I want to. And I won't have time to wear this one, but I will wear it because it fits really nice. So what I'm going to do, I change the intro a little bit so that you can see me with it hanging up and everything, how it looks when it's completely finished. No needles hanging out or all that. Now, the pocket. What I want to, main thing to remind you about the pocket. Look at the pocket. It's been steamed. Oh, I also did garter ridge here. And let's see how many ridges. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, 4. And then the 5th one on the wrong side, I bound off. See? Because it's the pocket. It's on the inside. Now, what I need for you to do, you can lightly steam your pocket and lightly steam the front. I like to steam on the wrong side. And I just lay a pillowcase and lightly iron over it, really light, not a real hot iron, but enough to, you know, get it set, enough for me to work, so it'll lay down. Now I'm going to take some straight pins. You can tell I'm tired, can't you? Okay, the main thing is, remember these little scallop ends? Make sure they're hanging off the edge of the sweater. Just like this one that I knit into the sweater. You see how it comes along and then it dips down, and then goes back straight with the ribbing. So you have to remember just to dip your pocket down and then just do it easy. I'm not going to sit here and count all these stitches, all that. I would just take a ruler and go, okay, let's see, here's 1 inch. I'm going to put 1 inch from right here and put a pin 1 inch. You can put a pin 1 inch. And then make sure, like I said, this is off. And then you'll pin this side over here. Now watch. You're just going to take little small stitches all the way down. The smaller the better. Just picking up a little bit of each fabric. You don't have to get big clumps of it. Just little tiny with your yarn. Then when you get to the bottom, turn it up. Now you're going to come across this. Stick the needle through. Pull it up. Now you're going to come across the bottom of this, stitching it to the pocket. See, you just go across all the way to this side. When you get back over here, stick the needle back through, bring it up to the front, and start again picking up little stitches all the way till you have a nice, but I would have it pinned, and you can just measure in from your edge. Now, to finish up and make sure these corners are secure, go on the wrong side and take 2 or 3 stitches. You know how you just stitch back and forth, and you can put a little knot there, a pretty little knot, and then you do it on the inside for this little corner. You just want everything secure, nice and neat, and then you have your pretty swatch pocket. What do you think of that? And the way that I've shared with you how you can make it fit more just by working in increments of 2 to see if you can get it to, if you need it to come in or whatever, or if you need it just 2 more inches out. So I'm going to be doing it on the next one that we do. I'm trying to think, is there anything else? I can't think of anything else. I will finish up my collar. It will be done. And like I said, I made a new intro, so by the time that'll be the first thing you'll see on the video. I'm showing you how it looks hanging up, and just kind of sharing with you how it looks all together. Well, I'm telling you, this one's one for the books. We're going to do this one again because I have an idea I want to make. I'm going to call them swatch pockets. Swatch pocket vests. And the next time, whatever design I have, I think I'll put it in the center back. I think I'll have it going up the back, the center back, something nice and big. I don't know if it'll be a lace or some other type of stitch. I don't know yet. But then the swatch, and I'll make 2 swatch pockets. So the front will be plain with the 2 swatch pockets, whatever stitch I find that's really interesting and I think you'll like, but able to put a big design in the back. See, so my design next time will be in the back, and I think that will just give you, even you some ideas of what you can do with a simple swatch pocket knit vest. This is Jay. So to all my friends, everyone, everywhere, every size, thank you for staying with me. Oh, we've made it through. and nothing else but to go on, and I will see you soon with something new. Bye-bye.